In the telecom sector, how do we strike a balance between industry's need to grow and consumer access? To discuss the same, we are joined by Shri Anil Kaushal and Shri Anil Kumar Bhardwaj. I would request you to grace the stage. Shri Anil Kaushal is a former full-time member of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. Throughout his career in the Department of Telecom, he held key positions including telecom standards, licensing frameworks, and spectrum pricing. He also contributed to the indigenous development and manufacturing of telecom equipment. He served as director on the board of HTL Limited and joint director, industrial development in the Department of Electronics. Shri Anil Kumar Bhardwaj is currently serving as Deputy Director General of Strategic Engagements at the Department of Telecommunications in the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. A seasoned civil servant with over 25 years of experience in leadership roles across public administration, telecom sector policy, economic policy, and competition regulation, he was previously an advisor for broadcasting and cable services at the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, overseeing regulations in TV, OTT, and digital media. He has also held the position of director at the Department of Telecommunications, focusing on telecom regulation, licensing, and cybersecurity. The session will be moderated by Shri Anil Kumar Bhardwaj. Sir, I would request you to initiate the session.
Okay, so we are the ones now really sitting between the audience and the lunch. Okay, and this is what happens to telecom. While we are the backbone of, if India was known for IT revolution, it was the backbone provided by telecom sector that somebody sitting in the call center in Bengaluru or the Silicon Valley of India could. But everybody talks of IT and nobody talks of telecom. But that's how life is. Luckily, I am thankful. First of all, I must thank Cunsult and Raghav Chandra sir for inviting us. And after almost 4 or 5 years, I am seeing Mr. Kaushal, with whom I had the luxury of working. He is a wonderful guide and mentor to many of us in telecom sector. Talking of telecom sector, it's actually a very, very huge sector. Today, we boast of 39.5 billion USD. When you look at the sector contributes positively to the coffers. In fact, non-tax revenue, we are one of the biggest contributors for almost 20 years now to the central government coffers. The biggest contribution comes out of spectrum auctions which we make, and as well as the license fee which the telcos pay. It touches almost everybody. This sector touches 100% of the mass. If today we say we are the leaders in UPI, again it is all thanks to the technology and the data speed which is available, that we can all enjoy the luxury of making even a 2 rupee payment through a UPI without bothering for the eligibility of whether I can have previous avatar of UPI was the credit cards and cards, which not more than 3% of Indians have, and today more than 60% of Indians individually, and perhaps if I look at the families, 95% of the families use UPI, and all that is thanks to the data speeds. Talking of speeds, actually India is, we are much ahead than what we were. We launched 5G in October 2022. So if I go back to September 2022, India was, in terms of speed which we get, even with 4G, we were ranked 120th in the world. But if I look at the latest ratings of August 2024, we are 20th in terms of speed. So networks have actually improved a lot.
Deserves a big clap.
Yeah, India deserves a clap. Our telcos deserve a clap. internet penetration has gone to much higher, and I won't talk what is the penetration in terms of numbers, but today 95.5% of Indian villages out of 6,40,000 villages actually have proper internet available, either through wireless thanks to this device or through the fiber which we are laying diligently from the Universal Service Obligation Fund, or which has been recently renamed as Digital Bharat Nidhi Fund. What are we doing otherwise as telecom sector? If you look at the focus areas today, the focus is on innovation, becoming a telecom product manufacturing nation, which we have become. In fact, when we talk, even though we are late in developing 4G, if you look at globally 4G was available by the leading vendors, Ericsson's and Nokia's of the world in 2010. But India, we developed our own 4G stack in 2022. Yes, we were late, but we are just fourth country across the world to have our own 4G stack. And 5G stack is already ready and in testing stages. So we are, even though we were late in 4G, 5G, and that's what the Prime Minister says, and that's what our Minister repeatedly has said in last 4 weeks, that 4G we were followers, 5G we are catching up, 6G we will be the leaders. And that's the path we are traversing. From a net importer of telecom equipments, today, 99.2% of mobile handsets are made in India. Now we are looking at, and Augustine sir is sitting, he'll look at economic value added and indigenous value added. Those are things which we are now focusing on, that what is the net value addition. And the PLI scheme, while we have committed almost 4,000 crore, the investors have made investments worth 7,000-8,000 crore already, and the sales figure has crossed, thanks to telecom PLI scheme, almost 50,000 crore. So these are the mind-boggling statistics which I can keep on going. Telecom sector is one of the most happening sector. But coming to another focus area which concerns all of us is the quality of service. And who else can be better, sir managed TRAI, and thanks to the TRAI Act and provisions of the Act, if there are 3 key things which TRAI looks at, that is interconnection, tariffs, and quality of service. So what TRAI is doing currently and how we are managing these things, without taking much more time, I have already taken my allotted 5 minutes as a moderator initially. I would now
I'll just make a
request Mr. Kaushal to make his initial remarks, and then I will go to the question answer.
Thank you very much. I'll reiterate, telecom is the most vibrant sector, and it affects everybody in the country, every individual. And if we see the story of the growth of telecom, 1997, when TRAI Act was implemented, that time, of course, it is no link with the Act. 14 million were the telephone connections, which have gone to almost 1200 million. So that is a significant improvement, growth in the sector. As entities which we have to take care, one is the common consumer, and second is the telecom service providers. They are the basic our stakeholders. The most important, and I think the basis on which the telecom sector works, is to provide quality of service, affordability, and access. So if we say the most important aspect is quality of service, we'll discuss a little bit. Then if we go to affordability, I will say the tariffs in India are the lowest in the world. I can definitely say. In the year 2012 or 14 or 15, the data rates were about 250 rupees per GB. Today it is 12 rupees per GB. So you can say it is 1/10 or 1/20th of the tariff. So that was achieved by the competition. How the competition was created, that we will discuss. At the same time, when I think when COVID was there for 2-3 years, we were able to run the schools, colleges, offices, because the data was available and the data rates were really very low. That's why it was nobody felt the problem of the COVID. The offices were everything was closed. So TRAI has been making regulations from time to time to take care of the basic thing is to take care of the customer and as well as the operators to have the proper significant competition. So in that, if I say quality of service, we all have been affected by quality of service because call dropping is a very common thing. And we had a feeling few years back that whenever we are talking, the call gets dropped. So definitely some actions are taken, but interestingly from 1st October, maybe 2 days back, new quality of service regulation has been implemented in the country. So it is a continuation. 10 years back, some regulations were there to take care of the quality. From whatever we were doing quarterly, from 1st October, it has been implemented from monthly basis. The monitoring is on the monthly basis. Number 2, whenever there is an outage on each BTS wise, you have to pay penalty, not penalty, some financial disincentive. So this is one of the important factors that quality of service needs to be maintained. Then to create competition amongst the operators, mobile number portability, we all know that if we are not satisfied with our customers, we can shift to the second operator. So the time taken used to be maybe 6-7 years back, used to be some 12 days, 15 days. If I want to go to my next operator, it will take long time because he will approach the existing operator, he will send the message, and all things used to take time for 15-20 days. Sometime the existing operator will try to discourage. So those things were taken care by the regulation, and the time has been reduced to maybe 5-6 days, and for 100% you get shifted. So these are some important actions taken by the regulation. Then one more common, for a common customer, unsolicited commercial calls. That I think everybody has been affected by those things, those commercial calls. So regulations were made in 2018. Of course, it is still because it is not totally controlled by the telecom sector, because if some bank, let us say State Bank of India, he gives to their corporate to sell a product. So what will happen? He will dial the number from taking a SIM. And if you make complaint, after 10-20 complaints, the number can be disconnected. He will take another number. So these problems are there because we don't have the TRAI is not having the full power to penalize the customers, the corporate entities. So this is one of the important aspects that UCC, the new regulation, have recently been further enhanced to ensure that we don't get the unsolicited calls. So there were some 8 lakh of complaints in the last 6 months about such calls, and about 5 lakhs phones have been disconnected. So it is a continuous process. It cannot be say that it can be totally free from the regulation can take care of everything, but all efforts have been made to ensure that common man gets lowest tariff at good quality and have access everywhere. Now we come to the operator side. Now what does operator need? Operator wants that they should have sufficient spectrum to provide the services. Number 2, they should have right of way, which is very important, for which regulations are not there, but all instructions are being issued that you can lay the cable, optical fiber, to ensure that the good quality of service can be maintained. So spectrum used to be the key issue about 6-7 years back. We used to compare that in USA and UK, the operator was having so much spectrum, India had a problem. So the regulator played some role in the way that whatever defense was having the spectrum. Initially, nobody knew that spectrum will be that important. So defense was having lot of spectrum unutilized. Similarly, broadcasting department. So we got this spectrum, from them. Like network for spectrum was one project that the government will provide optical fiber, you give the spectrum. So this spectrum was auctioned and was given to the operators. So today the situation is each operator is having so much sufficient spectrum. Nobody can say that we cannot provide service because of lack of spectrum. So spectrum, then right of way, because you know that for quality service you need to have optical fiber laid. The biggest problem is the state government, sometimes they create problem or the rates are so high for digging that it becomes, not very encouraging for the operator to dig the cable, and they provide by, radio, and radio is a little costly affair. So right of way, all rules have been made recently to ensure that the operator is able to provide provide the connectivity. They have sufficient spectrum. So from TRAI perspective, of course, everything cannot be, perfect, but consumer has been taken care by providing the connectivity, by providing affordable service, by providing, I cannot say the good quality, but whatever best possible. Operator, the major requirement of operator is spectrum, connectivity, and some AGR issues and all, which become very, difficult to discuss at this forum. So this is how I see that operator and consumer are taken care. So this, if you would like to ask, and anybody would like to.
Thank you very much, sir, for those remarks. And having worked in TRAI, while I will speak, telecom regulation, in fact, has laid foundations of the regulation in India. Of course, as a regulator, RBI is one of the oldest regulator, but SEBI and TRAI are two regulators which came into being very early in the, immediately after 90s, when we were, as an economy, we were deregulated, and TRAI has gone full circle in terms of initially it had all the power, including, appellate powers, but later on we realized that there are, as a country, we learned that we need perhaps another body, and that's how TDSAT was born, and that is the model which was followed by all other regulators. So CCI had COMPET, which has now been subsumed to NCLAT, and all other authorities are working like that. But sir, I mean, you said that spectrum is extremely important for the operator, and competition you talked. So first I'll talk about spectrum. What is the limiting factor in terms of spectrum availability and spectrum prices? Because we keep hearing that, Indian spectrum and these telcos keep complaining, and many a times global investors also keep complaining that because spectrum price is too high, we don't want to invest in India because tariffs are low, it doesn't make a business case. So how do we settle this, thing where while the tariff continue to remain low and we all want low tariffs, and yet still we want it to become a business case for these operators? How do we settle this spectrum cost and spectrum pricing issue?
See, as I mentioned, the more we lay the optical fiber, the more fiberization takes place, spectrum will be free. The focus will be to get the spectrum. Whenever we get auction, sometime majority of the spectrum remain unsold because so much spectrum is offered for sale that whatever is required by the by the operators is taken care. As regards the cost of the, of course, we compare with some country, the volume of traffic in India is so much that whatever the rates are there, whenever there is a auction, it goes sometime 1.5 times the basic rate. So that shows that it is not that costly. A myth has been created that the spectrum is very costly, but number one, availability. There is no dearth of spectrum availability because 10 years back there was always some shortage of spectrum. Now, sometimes you have to coordinate now direct satellite from satellite to directly the consumer. There is a spectrum problem, which being taken care with the coordination with the Department of Space, that spectrum should be allowed to be used by the telecom. So the cost of the spectrum cannot be set that high, and availability is never a problem. So availability is equally important.
The second thing, sir, which is like today telecom continues to remain. I'm sorry. Today telecom continues to remain a sector where we keep hearing that government has to support Vodafone Idea, government has to support BSNL. That means while on one side all of us, I included, want a service at most affordable price, these companies are fighting for their survival. What is wrong, and how can we look at it and set those things right? Can you guide us in that, sir?
Yeah, actually Vodafone, there's the 2-3 issues are there. Number one, you have to run your business efficiently. We remember we used to have taxis with the old some 5 or 6 kilometer per hour mileage. If we run the same technology which Vodafone is still using, first time in 10 years I have seen that they have said we will invest on the infrastructure. So if they run efficiently, they will survive. If they don't want to spend money and want to run the operation the way they were running, it will be difficult. Second thing is about the problem with the Vodafone is the AGR problem. It was known from the beginning that they have to deposit the money, and they failed to deposit because of some court cases or something, that the amount becomes so high, and interest and penalty made it so high. It is for government to take a decision whether to waive off, or they have already converted to into equity. If you see the other operators, they are doing perfectly okay. So we want at cheaper cost, but the operator has to run efficiently. That is important. They have to upgrade the technology. They can't run on the old technology.
Thank you, sir. Technology being the central, I have already received a message, as we call it a KISS message.
Okay.
So while we could have talked down a few things more, I'll just, sir, with your permission, open the floor for 1 or 2 questions, and we can then discuss offline on the lunch. Yes, sir.
I'll initiate this thing. Anil, my question is about to both of you, and this is about Starlink and satellite-based communication systems which are being talked about. As a consumer, I am curious to know how effective they will be, what is the time frame in which we can expect them, and if suppose for in a large house which has 3 floors, and they have, each floor has, because it's a large house, has 2 connections each, so 6 connections, can they then do away with all 6 connections and just expect to be covered entirely by that the Starlink, or that will still have some deficiencies and some caveats attached to it?
So basically, there is a problem of spectrum, coordination. Some spectrum is there with different Department of Space. So that is being coordinated, that this should be allowed to the satellite-based direct communication. Once it is allowed, it is difficult to say because it is not very popular. It will cover the areas which are not covered at all, the satellite. But wherever already we have optical fiber, whether it will be able to replace that, little difficult to say, because the speed will not be of that level. So I think the best, I will say, is the fiberization. You have to put the fiber. Satellite is a supplementary thing, supplementing the existing thing. It cannot be the main source.
I agree, sir. Satellite is basically to connect the unconnected and unreachable areas. Will it start, matching this terrestrial telephone wireless connections? At least as of now, that is a too distant thing, and as per current business case scenario, no satellite phone connection can work at a lower than 5,000 rupees, INR 5,000 rupees or lower. And so to say that a home user in a city who is getting the same service in 1000 rupees is still there is a gap, and technology has to fill that gap. Yes, last question.
Just 10 years back, India had a lot of players in the telecom space. Now we are left with just 1 or 2 players. So isn't that going to slowly raise the prices, because its market from a very competitive has become more a oligopoly market? And will that pan out in the future and higher prices? Because there's a possibility of
high prices. As you have told, 250 rupees to 12 rupees per GB. Number one, let me see. Number two, luckily we have one operator, that is Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, and that will be the balancing factor. Because recently, if you see, when Reliance raised the rate suddenly, lot of shifting mobile number portability to BSNL, because price sensitive. People are very price sensitive. If you are giving at higher price, we are here. So we cannot say 1 or 2 operator. Reliance Jio, Bharti, third is our Bharat Sanchar Nigam, which is going to continue. Fourth is Vodafone. I don't think it is going to die, because they will never get such a big market which India is having. So I think we should not worry about the tariffs for next few years to come, because the sector is very vibrant. Vodafone, I know for past several years people say it will close the operation. We know they cannot get such a big market. Even entire Europe cannot have the number of consumer edge we are having in India. So, sorry. Yeah. I think that's what I'm saying. We need not worry about duopoly. There will be 4 operators, definitely. That's why Government of India.
Sir, with due respect, we will have this discussion online, but just to add to sir, 3.9 million consumers migrated to BSNL in July and August.
So what
3.9 million is not a small number. Indians, and as sir rightly said, I am just adding to what sir said, BSNL is expected to continue to be that leveler or balancer, and that is why the current government is supporting, and we are actually running out of time, sir. We will have the discussion offline.
Just 1 minute. I am talking rural India mein, Jio is making your dent and they are penetrating. What is about BSNL in rural area? वो कोई करेगा ही नहीं अगर वो rate बढ़ाता है तो
sir, we will
that
talk about this.
He has to
allow me to answer this, because we are really running out of time. So one thing, government is not leaving any stone unturned, and I am saying this as I am working in the ministry in terms of supporting BSNL as well as supporting Vodafone. I mean, where would you see government owning 33% of company and still not having that desire to sit on the board of the company? It's been 2 years. Government is trying to help them with whatever maximum support we can, and that commitment continues from the government. I'm not saying this as an individual officer. This is the position of the ministry and department as a whole. Coming to BSNL, we are investing almost 25,000 crore in providing 4G equipment. Of course, why Government of India is investing taxpayer money is to support manufacturing of that 4G stack, which will make us the tech leaders of tomorrow for the world, and we'll export for the world. So this is an investment which our country is making. And why this investment is necessary? Because 4G and 5G, these technologies require stabilization. They require field provability before, North Americans or Africans, even to that matter, small East European countries will buy our telecom gear. So that investment is made. Sir, last I would just want to add 3-4 points which are more citizen-centric. DOT is doing a lot of work in terms of implementing AI in the network. And 4 services, I'll just take 1 minute to explain. One is service which we call CEIR. All these are Sanchar Sathi services as named by our Honorable Minister. We help finding stolen mobiles. Out of 2.15 million mobile connections have been blocked on complaints, and 1.22 million mobile phones have been recovered by police. Today, police is using our AI platform, and the success rate has gone high, and we have bundles of appreciation letters from different police authorities. Then we have know your mobile connections. One of the menace these useless calls or fraud calls were coming. Sometimes that connection was working in my name. So we have opened a TEFCOP portal. You can see all the connections working in your name. We have received close to 9.9 million requests where somebody said it is not my connection and it is listed as my connection. And we have shut down 9 million connections out of that. So these are services I just thought I bring it. Just one more minute. Last thing, Chakshu is our fraud detection portal. If you receive a fraud call, and we all hear that he was duped 50 lakhs and somebody, and one big industrialist recently got duped of 7 lakhs through this digital arrest. Police is helping him. Suppose you receive a call and you actually don't get duped, because they make 100 calls before they get one person whom they are able to dupe. Where do you complain? Police doesn't entertain. So we opened this Chakshu platform. It's an online platform. If you receive such call which is a suspected fraud, it is still not a crime. So police will not entertain you. You report that this is a suspected fraud, and we are handling through AI, and we form a tree. One complaint of a suspected fraud has helped us block 3,000 SIMs and 7,000 telephone instruments. That was the group, because they will use this SIM today, then throw it tomorrow. You revive this SIM after 3 months on another instrument. So we create a tree of SIM instrument, all the SIM used on this instrument, and we have blocked close to 90,000 SIMs and close to 2 lakh mobile handsets using this engine. It has been recently launched. Numbers are small, but there is somebody working for all of us, which we call as AI platform Chakshu. So Department of Telecom is going really all out. And my request to you is, if you have heard me, propagate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So one question from that lady. She's been waiting for quite some time.
I'm
so
sorry,
one quick question, please.
Thank you for your thoughts on this matter. My question is what do you think about the viability of going through the common duct way to address the infrastructure issue? And do you think the TRAI and DOT could be the leaders in making that happen in India? Because that has happened in other countries already.
There are many great ideas like common duct, ma'am, but our civic structure and civic infrastructure within the cities, we have tried and failed many times.
Right.
It's not that it has not been tried. TRAI, at least in 2 recommendations, I remember, said we have to promote common duct. But on the highways, especially the brownfield highways, National Highway Authority of India is now building common duct as per the design and recommendations of TRAI. So at least for long distance fiber and long distance connectivity, because we are making brownfield highways, it is becoming a reality. Almost 600 kilometers of common ducts are now available, which NHAI is willing to lease out. But within the cities, we have tried many times and failed, so I do not know.
It does not become a commercial, viable thing. These have been tried, so.
Thank you so much for this enriching session.